LA This Week.
A gallery featuring a who's who of African-American journalists on display here at Los Angeles City Hall. I'm Gil Reyes with more on this special commemoration for African-American Heritage Month.
I'm Anna Marcos. 17 emotional reunions. Immigrant families who hadn't seen each other sometimes as much as 20 years are reunited here thanks in part to Councilmember Gil Cedillo's office. We'll have more on that coming up.
More than 1,000 jobs coming to South LA as the Los Angeles Football Club soccer stadium nears its opening. I'm Rasha Goel, and that story's up next.
Hello and welcome to LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Yana Kay. A new home for homeless veterans and people with chronic health issues is going up on Skid Row in one of the first projects of the year to use Measure H and HHH funds. Anna Marcos takes us to the groundbreaking for the 649 lofts.
Skid Row is about to get a new neighbor on the block. The 649 lofts will soon replace this empty lot full of graffiti. They will house dozens of formerly homeless residents and provide supportive care. It's all thanks to Measure H and HHH, which voters approved last year to build more homeless housing.
The word is access, that is access to health, access to homes, and access to a better quality of life.
One of the centerpieces of this project will be the 3-story Joshua House Health Community Clinic, which will provide health, medical, dental, and mental health care to all the residents on Skid Row.
So at our current Joshua House site, it's a 100-year-old building, used to be a crack house. We turned it into a medical clinic, and we operate there in this very tight space with tiny hallways. In the new facility that we're building, it'll be a beautiful environment, it'll be welcoming, it'll be healing just to walk in the doors.
The clinic will serve some 7,000 Skid Row residents a year, whether they live in the complex or not. It's just one more step aimed at stopping the ever-exploding homeless crisis in its tracks.
4 years ago, we had about 30,000 people in the city of LA who were homeless, and we have now housed about 30,000 people. But we're up 140%. In other words, some 50,000 people have newly become homeless as we housed everybody who was.
We need to not only think long-term as we're doing and implementing these strategic plans, but we need some immediate triage-type approach to what we see on the streets.
To beat the homeless crisis, city leaders say they must also attack another problem, the affordable housing crisis.
We had such a shortage of affordable housing. I think we really need to put our heads together and figure out how we create more of those housing opportunities for young families, families with kids, seniors, folks who have disabilities.
But for now, this project will mean 55 more homeless people taken off the streets. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
LA County coroner numbers show more than 800 homeless people died in the streets of LA last year, another sign of the critical need for health care and housing. A chance at reunification for some immigrant families as a special visa allows their Mexican relatives to come for a short visit. Councilmember Gil Cedillo's office hosted the emotional reunion. Here's Anna Marcos with more.
It's enough to make some break into song, Mexican folk song, that is. The emotions are overwhelming for many, as 17 Los Angeles families reunite with parents and relatives from Nayarit, Mexico. Some have not seen each other for 20 years.
It's happy. Yeah, happy with my mom and my dad.
I like being with my daughter. I didn't think this would happen. I feel so happy and content with my daughter. The program is a joint effort by the Nayarit government of Mexico, several nonprofit groups, and Councilmember Gil Cedillo's office. You are the heart and blood of this city. Your kids are the future of the city, a city everyone wants to come to.
I am seeing my grandmother. I am really excited to see her. I think it would be fun having her around.
Have you ever seen her yet?
No.
Never?
No.
I think it'll be a great opportunity for my mom to see her. I'm pretty sure she'll cry. I'll probably cry.
It took the government of Nayarit, Mexico, years of planning and lobbying the U.S. federal government to get the humanitarian visas needed for these families to come visit. Now they will have 20 days to laugh, cry, visit, and catch up after 20 years of living apart. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
African American Heritage Month celebrates the contributions of some of the greatest Black journalists in LA history. Gil Reyes shows us this unique exhibit that's on the walls and on the floor.
LA City Council President Herb Wesson takes us on a tour of City Hall's new exhibit entitled Right in America, a history of the Black press in Southern California.
What we have is the beginning of African American journalism in the city of Los Angeles. Behind me is the very first article from the Los Angeles Sentinel.
The Los Angeles Sentinel, founded in 1933 by Colonel Leon Washington, is LA's oldest Black newspaper still in existence.
Not only did they report the news because it was important and say what was going on in our community, but they also were like a newspaper of activists,
exposing racial, economic, and professional injustices while breaking barriers in the journalism field. Today, the Sentinel is owned by activist Danny Bakewell.
And it was the African American pioneers in journalism that not only opened those doors for themselves, but to this day they still keep those doors open so anybody, regardless of the color of your skin, if you work hard and if you're qualified, you have a shot. This is the National Association of Black Journalists, and photos of the founders. And this is Valerie Shaw and Tony Cox, who was one of our first very successful radio and on, as you can tell by the photos, he was an on-air personality.
The councilman talking about the NABJ's local chapter and one of his fellow native Ohioans. Former Cleveland Mayor Carl Stokes was the first African-American big city mayor and the first known politician of any color to anchor news in New York City. His contemporaries include KTLA-5's Larry McCormick, a familiar face on Los Angeles television until his death in 2004. Also featured in this gallery are local TV stars of today, like KCAL9's Pat Harvey, NBC4's Beverly White, and CBS 2 sports anchor Jim Hill.
When these guys and ladies opened the door, they had to be the best of the best of the best. And because they were, it has opened the door for everyone.
Even the floor is part of the exhibit. Inscribed are quotes from other prominent African Americans. The quotes were selected by every LA City official. Council President Wesson chose a lyric from the godfather of soul, James Brown.
The quote is, "I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door, I'll get it myself." And that's the way I live my life. You don't have to give me anything other than an opportunity.
South LA Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson also stops by the gallery.
Team Wesson, led by Albert Lord, does a great job with these exhibits every year. Hopefully some of these things get enshrined and made permanent installation somewhere. They're so beautiful. They're in your city hall. Come check them out.
The Right in America exhibit will be on display through March 20th. At City Hall's Bridge Gallery, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The Bridge Gallery is located on the 3rd floor of City Hall. Other city-sponsored events included covering some edgier topics and questions such as, are African Americans fairly depicted in the news media? Some of the top names in local academia gathered at City Hall to try and answer that question. Gil Reyes has more.
Let our rejoicing rise.
This meeting of African American scholars began with a tearful rendition of the Black National Anthem. It took place one day after a school shooting in South Florida that killed 17 people.
Maybe it's just me, but I'm noticing that majority of your mass murderers are people, lighter than myself. And the media want to always depict these people as troubled. But when it comes to African Americans, they are violent.
The panelists say the news media is often shallow in its portrayal of black suspects. It's part of the conversation during African American Heritage Month and a forum called African Americans in Times of War, moderated by ABC7 news anchor Mark Brown. Another topic, gun control.
The reason why they want to allow some people to have guns, they don't really mean for us to have the guns. If they did, they wouldn't have been so bad at the Black Panthers. So if we put it in context, I think there are times that there are larger issues.
The book Negrophobia and Reasonable Racism is authored by USC law professor Dr. Jody Armour. Armour points to the unjust mass incarcerations of black men and says there needs to be more focus on solving socioeconomic factors behind black crime, which mostly takes place in underserved areas.
The black crime rate for middle-class blacks and the crime rate for middle-class whites is roughly the same. Statistically, no different. So most of the gun violence is coming from truly disadvantaged blacks, right, who are in grinding poverty, crumbling schools.
Problems that should be addressed more in the news. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The forum was hosted by the mayor's office and the Our Authors Study Club. As we celebrate Black History Month, we're shining the spotlight on a South LA clinic for the people. The Central Neighborhood Health Foundation provides critical medical care in some of LA's poorest neighborhoods. Anna Marcos takes us there.
The Lopez kids are paying a visit to the doctor, and an eye exam and physical are just part of the routine for staying healthy. Doctors at the Central Neighborhood Health Foundation in South LA will take everyone regardless of their ability to pay.
Our goal is just to give the healthiest kids for the society. It doesn't matter if they are poor, if they are rich.
So we wanted to know, how healthy are these kids?
What do you eat?
Salad.
What else?
Apples.
The sister isn't buying this so-called health kick, though.
She eats candy. She eats chips.
So she eats bad stuff, too.
Okay, so the health habits need some improvement. Dr. Bassett Brown, the doctor running the clinic, has made it the clinic's mission to not only treat symptoms, but to teach patients healthier lifestyles.
The real plague today is not acute infectious diseases, but chronic, debilitating diseases like diabetes, hypertension.
The clinic has been here since 1929, but after the Watts riots, many of the health centers in this part of town closed down, except for this one. After the doctor here died, Dr. Brown took over and brought it back to life.
This Central Avenue used to be called Charcoal Alley at the time, because this was sort of a burnt out area after the Watts riots. A lot of the businesses had fled, and the doctors had fled. I just finished my training. I was working in an emergency room in South LA, and at midnight I got a call saying they needed a doctor up here.
Now, more than 50 years later, the clinic provides comprehensive health care with 4 clinics in LA and 6 in San Bernardino County. This is the flagship clinic, and the need here is great.
We'd come here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're here till 9 o'clock at night.
For the community over here, there are not a whole lot of opportunities, so we are blessed to have this community over here.
And there's more in store for the clinic's future.
One of the things we're working on is expanding this facility and actually building housing. Councilmember Price has promised that the city will participate, because that'll be part of the collaboration to make it happen.
A medical center where things like housing, health, and what food you eat are part of the treatment. And it's all given with lots of TLC. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The clinic also provides classes and workshops on different health topics. A new stadium means new jobs for Angelenos. Hundreds of folks came out to apply for current openings at the Los Angeles Football Club Stadium. Rasha Goel was at the job fair where some applicants scored big.
I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. That's how I'm feeling. I'm very excited because now I can just broaden my perspective with this and further my career and just take it home with my family, share it with them.
Ariana Chanot applied for a position in guest relations, and little did she know she'd be going home with the job in hand. She was among the hundreds of LA residents who attended a job fair hosted by Councilman Curran Price at the Bank of California Stadium, which is gearing up to host its first Major League Soccer game in April.
We're excited about this investment, the $350 million investment the LA Football Club is making in this new stadium. And we want to make sure that our residents are able to take advantage of the employment opportunities that exist. They're committed to hiring locally, and we want to make sure that our residents show up for hundreds of full-time and part-time jobs in a variety of areas.
We are hiring for all of our frontline positions: security, guest services, food services, hospitality positions, as well as operations. So those are all the folks that will help us on game day and event day execute all of our events.
Interviews and drug testing were also done on the spot. And for those without experience, no problem. Job training will be provided.
It was fast, easy, and chill.
This is really nice. It's a nice turnout. So many people are down here interested in working for the neighborhood, and that's good.
The stadium is a state-of-the-art soccer stadium seating 22,000 and is part of the revitalization in Expo Park.
We're excited about not only the soccer field, but the restaurants, the shops, the stores that are going to be a part of this complex, and the opportunity to hire locally so that local folks are getting these jobs.
I'm going to root for my team, my city, and I'm going to do the best I can to make people welcomed here.
Again, there are approximately 1,200 positions that need to be filled. Now, if you were unable to make the 3-day career fair, well, you can log on to lafc.com/careers to find out more information and to apply. In South Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Again, that website to search for job openings is lafc.com. Well, back at City Hall, Lunar New Year celebrations got underway with plenty of music, dance, and tradition. This year was dedicated to man's best friend. Gil Reyes reports on how city leaders are using the occasion to promote pet adoptions.
Festive lion dancers prowl the aisles of Los Angeles City Hall to launch Lunar New Year 2018. And hot diggity, it also happens to be the Year of the Dog.
The Lunar New Year is celebrated by many Asian cultures in China, Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Taiwan, Singapore, and right here in Los Angeles.
LA's first Korean-American council member, David Rue, mentions the best assets of the astrological canine and supposedly anyone born in the Year of the Dog. Characteristics include loyalty, hard work, and fairness. In LA's Chinatown, doggy images fly on flags. Councilman Gilbert Cedillo represents the community. He helped welcome the beautiful Miss LA Chinatown Queen, her lovely court, and some new furry friends.
This is the first time we've ever adopted 5 dogs in one day. Where are the owners?
And a treat from Council President Herb Wesson and colleagues. During that weekend only, all dog and cat adoptions at city shelters were free. The city's 6 shelters have recently achieved its no-kill goal. That means no healthy shelter animals had to be euthanized last year. Pet adoptions helped. Another reason to celebrate with dogs, cats, and yes, lion dancers too. Now, if you were born during the years 1946, 1958, 1970, 1982, 1994, and 2006, then you were in fact born in the Year of the Dog. Lucky colors this year: green, red, and purple. Reporting from Chinatown, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Get even luckier by adopting a new friend this year. Dogs, cats, and even rabbits need loving homes. Search for one at laanimalservices.com. A new partnership between the city and Loyola Law School helps get former prisoners back on their feet. Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell brings City Hall to his constituents, and a family turns their tragic loss into something positive for their community. All these stories in Citybeat. Mayor Eric Garcetti partnered with Loyola Law School to offer free legal services for formerly incarcerated individuals. The new clinic helps clients move on with their lives after incarceration. Garcetti said that people should be met with forgiving hearts, open doors, and real opportunities when trying to rebuild their lives, adding that it's not only the right thing to do, but it's critical to helping keep our communities safe. First launched last year, the clinic is a partnership between the Mayor's Office of Reentry and Loyola Law School. It's staffed by student advocates who represent clients needing legal assistance in such areas as employment, immigration, child support, and professional licensing. The clinic has already handled more than 220 matters and is supported by the Mayor's Fund for Los Angeles and the California Community Foundation. For more information, visit lls.edu. Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell recently held a community walk and neighborhood cleanup in Atwater Village. O'Farrell and his staff went door to door to distribute important contact information for free city services. Volunteers from the community and the Los Angeles Conservation Corps were also on hand in a neighborhood beautification project. O'Farrell said the goal is to bring City Hall to the people instead of the people having to come to City Hall.
I'm a big believer in bringing government to someone's doorstep. It's really important, especially in this day and age when through social media and everything else, we're actually losing connectivity with one another at a very basic human level. And so it's important to me to take that message to everyone's door and to the constituents that I serve.
The Department of Rec and Parks, along with Council President Herb Wesson Jr. and the Los Angeles Parks Foundation, gathered to celebrate Lafayette Park's new playground in honor of Lionel Murray, a 2-year-old boy who died last March. In honor of their son, his parents decided to give back to the community by building a playground for kids ages 2 to 5. With the help of friends and other groups, the Murray family was able to raise enough funds to build a playground, which includes an ADA-accessible swing, shade structure, and resilient surfacing. The park is located in the Westlake district of Los Angeles and serves approximately 32,000 residents.
It's amazing that a young kid that lived only 24 months will have an impact on this city and in this area for years to come, as thousands and thousands of 2-, 3-, and 4-year-olds play on a park dedicated for him.
A new walking path across the south dam of the Silverlake Reservoir attracted big crowds on opening day. Gil Reyes reports on this change of pace for regulars at the reservoir.
A new walking path opens on the south end of the Silverlake Reservoir, and for today only, people were allowed to go beyond the fence and get really close to the water. Reservoir regular Ruth Siegel wants that every day.
It's amazing. It's fantastic. I mean, on the outside, you just feel like you're on the outside, and it's just a totally different perspective to be up close to the reservoir.
Today we're celebrating the opening of the path across the dam. So no longer will people have to go along the bottom of the reservoir and along the narrow streets at the bottom. They can stay around the reservoir perimeter, go across the dams to the beautiful views that have always been locked away inside the gate.
The South Dam Pathway is the latest improvement to the lake. It was drained a few years back after the government banned open water sources like reservoirs for drinking water. Residents wanted the HTO back, even if it's just for aesthetics, so it has returned. Crews also added a flowing underground pipeline.
So that even in the drought years, the reservoir will always have water in it.
Silverlake Councilman Mitch O'Farrell mentions the addition of some 30 new trees. The city is considering even more improvements and wants to know what people want.
Really hoping that the city will one day take down the fence or push it in more so we can get closer to the water.
Or just keep it open.
Or keep it open. That would be fantastic. Yeah, and then make some improvements to the landscape.
Listening carefully to the concerns of folks that are here, we figured out a way to get it done. I think it's a good lesson for politics today, where we see so much division and so much no. This is a community and a city of yes.
A city of joggers, strollers, and nature lovers. In Silverlake, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The South Dam Pathway is open every day from dawn to dusk. Dogs are allowed on leash, but bikes are prohibited. While go biking in the valley, enjoy a free screening of Disney's Coco, and the realities of Cuban life come to life in a revealing exhibit. All this in this week's Things to Do. Enjoy the West Valley on 2 wheels. Join Councilmember Bob Blumenfield for a 10-mile community bike ride at a family-friendly pace. Riders will be escorted by LAPD officers, and here's your chance to see the valley like you've never seen it before and get some exercise in, too. The ride begins on Saturday, March 3rd at Warner Ranch Park and will highlight the Warner Center and Woodland Hills. For more, visit blumenfield.lacity.org. Bring the whole family for a free screening of Disney's Coco and enjoy a carnival fiesta. Hosted by the LA Red Shield Community Center and Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo, there'll be plenty of free food, free carnival games, and free raffles and free toys for children in attendance. It all takes place on Saturday, March 3rd at 2 p.m. at the LA Red Shield Community Center located at 1532 West 11th Street. Revealing complexities both on and off the island, Cuba explores aspects of Cuba not easily accessed by foreigners and sometimes not even by Cubans themselves. Born from indigenous African and European roots, divergent politics and limitations in communication and commerce, the Cuba seen in this exhibition goes beyond the folklore and offers new insight into its current reality. The exhibit features more than 120 photos featuring subjects ranging from defiant youth to the hard-partying children of the 1%. The exhibit is on display until March 4th at the Annenberg Space for Photography, located at 2000 Avenue of the Stars. For more, visit annenbergphotospace.org. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week. Thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.